Decorating Pages is a podcast dedicated to taking you behind the scenes of the designs of your favorite TV shows and films. Each episode, I'll be sharing design stories from some of Hollywood's most famous sets. Interviews from set decorators, production designers, directors, and actors about creating the look of TV and film, about their design inspirations, and stories that take sets from page to screen. Hello, and welcome to Decorating Pages. I am your host, Kim Wanup, and I'm still off, just like a lot of people. A lot of people working in this industry, and a lot more people are about to be off because the actors may strike. Their deadline was up, I believe, July 1st, and they extended it into the 12th or 14th, I think, and they should have just went on strike. I don't know. Kind of feel like they should have just done it instead of getting the 2 weeks. I just feel like that probably prolonged not good things, but that's just me. I don't know why I think that, but yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the anxiety of working in TV and film. You really don't know your next job. I mean, you could if you have one planned out or you get enough, something comes up in the middle of a project and then you go to take it, but you're an independent. You don't know what your next 3 projects are or 4. I mean, you never know. So there is that anxiety, and there is always that panic of, should I take this? Should I not take this? Is something better going to come along? Shit, I took the bad one. Or, oh, thank God I took this because this, and this happened and this worked out and I got to work with them and, things work out and that's great. So there is always slightly anxiety of what is the next job. And I have talked about this before, being a department head, it's not that you're carrying people. I don't personally pay these people, but I feel responsible for some people and keeping them working and getting jobs. So, and I want to work with them and I want to keep us all together. And so you try to take things that you think will keep people together. And I have said, even at Bones, I stayed too long. And if it hadn't gone the way it went, I probably would have stayed longer. And it all worked out, but I had security and I knew, it was getting picked up, and, sometimes you stay at the party too long, but that's okay too. I mean, longevity in this business is a good thing. So, but I definitely have some anxiety now because I took the over on this like 100 days, but the reality of taking that and believing that is like September. And luckily we are a 2-income family. So, as much as I put away and you could think like, oh, I can last 6 months. Okay, well, what if it goes longer? And I know that our unions have set up some funds, the Actors Fund and other things to help. If anyone, you should look into that. You just have to give in your name and your local and I think your monthly bills, and they try to help people out with grants, and so there's little tiny things to help, but on a whole, it's scary. And I was thinking, like, should I pick up some side jobs in interior design? Should I see if anybody needs some house shit done? Because there has not been a paycheck on my side for a long time, and as much as I love doing this podcast, I don't get paid. I get paid in love and nice emails from people who listen. But it's hard. It is anxiety at this point for me of like, I don't have a job, and people are asking like, oh, what are you working on? And I'm like, nothing for a long time. So yeah, I'm sure like others, if it hasn't set in yet, or it already has and I'm late to the party, getting a little anxiety ridden with not working. So yeah. But I have had a lot of time in the last couple weeks. I've watched a lot of good stuff in the last couple weeks. One of them being Bullet, which I had never seen all the way through, with Steve McQueen, art director Albert Brenner, and set decorators Phil Abramson and Ralph S. Hurst. San Francisco, I think in the 60s, and cop drama, fast cars. I liked it. I like Steve McQueen, and I like how he's like trendy but trying to be an everyday man. I don't know. There's something I always sort of cool about Steve McQueen. And then I watched American Psycho, which production designer Gideon Ponte, I think, and then Janine Devendil, set decorator. I have always loved American Psycho, and this time watching, I was like, man, this shit is super campy. And I know that I read that book a long time ago. Like, a lot of times I like to read books that are being made into movies, and then I like to, compare and contrast of how they broke down the story and what they actually filmed. Killings of the Scorsese one, the DiCaprio one that's coming out. I read that like last year. I know I talked about that. But anyway, American Psycho, when I looked up that the set decorator and production designer were, I was kind of shocked. The set decorator, Janine, who did a great job, 80s New York club scene, trendy, like pushing that envelope. She hadn't done much. She hadn't done much after, so kind of intrigued of like if anybody knows her, how she got that, and then like only did a couple things. So I'm always fascinated by that when I look up people's resumes and see like, oh, I could see like they worked with this designer on this and that's what led to that and blah blah blah, and or like you can even thread through some producers that they might have worked with, but yeah, but different this time. I don't know if I was as amused. I love the soundtrack. I love when Bateman talks about the like Phil Collins and Whitney Houston. I just think that that's really funny. And the design of it, as I said, is like they're just pushing that 80s, which I love. Then I watched that movie on Peacock, Renfield, which I actually thought Nicolas Cage was playing Renfield. I didn't really know anything about it. So it was good enough. I think it wasn't fantastic, but it was good enough to watch, and the sets were good. Julie Bergdorf, production designer for second unit, and then Alec Hammond, production designer, Gretchen Gasto, set decorator, and Cynthia Ann Slagter, set decorator. I thought it was good. I mean, they have this really bold set with all of these blood bags hanging like a throne. I thought that was pretty cool, and their use of lighting in the movie, and it's not as I said, it's not great, but it's worth a watch. I'm telling you, it's worth a watch just to get some Nick Cage. I don't know. I know he does a ton of movies, but I don't really watch them. So I liked Renfield. Then I took it way back and did American Graffiti, and that is just such a time capsule of 1962, filmed in 1973, I believe. That Mel's Diner is just perfect, and it's credited as art director Dennis Linton Clark and set decorator Douglas Freeman. What's funny is they just kept driving up and down that street, and at one point the guy goes to like get liquor, and he chickens out and he asks the guy like, what time is it? And he's like, oh, it's 11:45. But there's like tons of people walking around all night. I don't even understand, like, did anybody think this is like 2-3 in the morning? And then when he goes to see Wolfman Jack, it's almost morning, and there's tons of people out, tons of people driving around. It's a crazy little town they had there, but yeah. And then I went to the movies, which was awesome. To the movies to see Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Is that it? I loved it. I loved watching Indiana Jones. I loved that John Williams music comes on and you're back in. Like, and Harrison Ford was good, and I thought the story was good, and it jumps a little bit of a shark, I must say, but I'm in. I don't care. I'm in. It's Indiana Jones. Let's do it. The last one, which then I checked out all of the other ones. The last one, he had aliens. Remember? With Shia LaBeouf, whatever. That was bad. That wasn't good. Here's the thing. So, Adam Stockhausen is the production designer. 13 art directors, including supervisors and senior art directors, 1 set decorator, and a Pintock. Applaud you, girlfriend. Wow. Yeah, why is there 13 art directors? I don't know. And 1 set decorator, it's crazy. But here's what I had a tiny bit of a problem with, if anybody has seen it. So they do a little flashback in the beginning, fantastic. Then they go to like their, quote, modern day, which is like 1968, I believe, or 69. And they show Indy's apartment, and then they start playing this Beatles song, and then a lot of people he worked with have like English accents, and Phoebe, she's got an English accent. And I swear to you, I was like 25 minutes into the film, and I didn't realize that it was supposed to be New York City. I actually thought that they were in London, and like he had moved to London or something. I don't know, the dressing and like the apartment didn't feel New York to me. I don't know. And then the streets and everything just felt like they were in London. And then they did this parade for the astronauts. And I thought, oh, they must have had parades all around the world. Like, I was totally, not until they get down into the subway that I was like, oh, are they supposed to be in New York City? And so one of the reasons I went back and looked at previous Indiana Jones was to see, where did he live? Because, they always do that map with the red line of like he's flying to Marrakesh or Casablanca or whatever. So number 1, he's out of San Francisco. That's where they start his dot. And then, I didn't watch 2. I'm not into it. 3 and 4, he's out of New York. So I guess he's always lived in New York City. I thought he lived in DC or LA because I remember that deco apartment. But yeah. So, but anyway, loved the film. Fantastic production design. And just fun to go to the movies. Just fun to like kind of be brought back into something that is kind of special in cinema. I really liked it. I wonder why Spielberg didn't direct it. He directed the other 4. Oh, so yeah, but that was good. So that was my what's one up watching this week. I watched a lot. I think I did well. I'm not caught up on Righteous Gemstones. I haven't watched much TV, mostly movies. So. And Housewives, but you don't want to hear about that. On today's podcast, I speak with production designer Tracey Collins, whose latest project, Power Rangers Once and Again, celebrates the 30th anniversary of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and the franchise in general. Tracey, with the design of this show, Tracey aimed to maintain the essence of that original production design while infusing contemporary set pieces. It was absolutely great to speak with her. We coordinated timing and everything. She's halfway around the world, so it was an absolute pleasure to speak with her, meet with her, and talk about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I mean, isn't that cool? Doesn't that influence people? I love it. So I hope you enjoy. See, calendars collide.
All works for me. Anytime works.
They were very happy that they could be a part of Mommy Research these past 2 weeks because they slightly knew what Power Rangers were, but now I think they're probably experts with how much we watched over the last week or so.
Oh, really? So you obviously watched Once and Always, and maybe you watched other things as well. Yeah.
I watched that. I watched the Dino Charge. We did that one. We did I did Best Morphers, I think it was. Beast Morphers.
Oh yes, Beast Morphers. Yes,
The
remember
Beast
that
one.
one?
Yeah, with the episodes and everything. So they were totally into that. So yes.
Good,
Now,
good.
were you a fan of them back in the day?
Well, we didn't have the show here,
No?
but no, not in the early days.
No, wow.
It was on cable, I think, but I guess I didn't have cable, or we didn't really have cable. I know, sounds very backwater here, doesn't it? It's not.
But no, but yeah, I mean,
yeah, I didn't have it, but it started shooting in New Zealand in about 2004, I think.
yeah.
It had been shooting in LA for the first 10 years, and then they came out here. And so I actually worked on it as a costume prop supervisor first. It was a brand new project, and nobody really knew anything about it, but I loved it from then. I just loved it. And then I just I did that for a year, or for a season and a half actually. And then I just went back on with, my life, designing other things or working on other projects.
Right.
And then the opportunity arose again in 2014, where they were actually looking for a designer, and I'd already been designing for a number of years. And I thought, oh, I have to get it. I have to get this job. So I kind of went all out. When I say that, I just kind of turned up, but for the interview. But Chip, as he calls himself, Judd Chip Lynn, he was looking for a new creative team. I went along and I met him, and he was just like a big old kid. He was so much fun, and somehow we hit it off straight away.
Oh, that's
and actually we were sitting there, and I was sort of drawing. He's like, no, not that. And then I draw something else. He'd go, no, not that. But I knew we would have a good working relationship. And so then he just kind of hired me on the spot. So.
Oh, well, that's always nice. I was looking, do you have a background in costume design? I mean, I can see that you're an artist and that you've worked in different mediums and installations and like amazing pieces, but is your
thank you.
Is your beginnings in costumes?
No? My beginnings were in stage design.
Stage design.
So stage design. So when I was a student at art school, a lecturer came down from the music school. There's a big music school up the road. They said, "Who would like to design an opera?" I was like, "Oh, me." So I designed that opera, and then suddenly I got a pantomime. Then I got a theatre show. Then I started doing musicals. So suddenly the last 2 years of my degree were actually full of theatre design. Oh. So I was doing set and costume. So when I left, I got an opportunity to work with different theatre companies, and I worked as a set and costume designer together. So I guess as a child and everything, I always loved fashion. And I remember, at school I was designing new shoes and designing hats and designing stuff and brooches and jewellery. But then I had that other side of me where I sort of wanted to be an architect. So I think there was just sort of those two things. So that's where I started anyway. So my first entry into the film industry was in costume.
Costume. I'd have to say that's probably working in TV and film is probably the epitome of not being an architect and being creative, like costume,
okay.
Because there's so much control and rules in architecture that we don't have to live by. So we get to have,
right. Yeah, that's right. I was thinking, I'm just not that good at maths, and
neither was I. I couldn't do the
go to architecture school. It might be too,
I couldn't do the physics.
Only draw black and white.
Yeah, I don't have the math or the physics skills to further in that at all. But I when watching all of this, I was getting so jealous because you are able to use so much color. And it brought me back to thinking I used to know this woman who worked at Nickelodeon, and she designed like all of their shows, like from the in the 90s and 2000s. And I used to think like that's the job to have, because how much impact do you have on like us as younger people who want to get into this, and how much influence you have from kids and then like preteens seeing all this color and design. And I just got so super jealous watching these.
Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
I know. I guess I've always been into color, and I think Power Rangers is sort of I've been able to just continue that. But saying that, I've never really changed myself. I've just always been into color, and so when I went to Power Rangers, I just kept doing what I was already doing, But it does seem like a natural fit,
Yeah.
Not that other projects aren't a natural fit, but yeah, that sort of having that slight, it's sort of not childish, it's more childlike.
Yeah.
A sort of like empathy or understanding, and understanding for play.
Yes.
And always playing, I think. And that probably goes back to art school,
Yeah.
That probably goes back to when you're always experimenting and playing around with different materials.
Yeah.
And trying things. So, I mean, for me, I'm always trying to learn. I'm always trying out new materials. I'm always playing, if you like. So, I think, that's just a natural process for me, I think. And the colour is back to that. Yeah.
Well, some people are very restrained and afraid of color. There is that opposite sometimes, and they're too afraid to use like orange or the brighter yellows or something. In Dino Fury, I wanted to ask about the Buzz Blast huge set that you did.
Oh yes. That's a colourful one, isn't it?
Yes, terrific. I was like, and they use it, throughout it was episodes on that one, right? And then I was like, how versatile is this set, and how beautifully done in an adult way, but it's so playful for children. Like when you present these designs to them, are they just like blown away of like, oh, we have to write to this? I would think they would be.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit, yes. I mean, I have a great working relationship. I was working with Simon Bennett, was on as executive producer for Dino Fury, and we just wanted to do something really, like the most amazing place to work.
Yeah.
We'd all been sort of reading a little bit about, Google and all these kind of fun offices with table tennis and, bicycles riding around and, this kind of thing. So kind of wanted to create the most fun place to work. I guess colour, it's funny because I guess there's a lot of different ways you could design this set, but I guess colour is just always at the forefront of my thinking and of my intuition. Yeah. Often colour comes first, so sometimes it is like I design the sets a little bit around colour.
But do you have to like, because you can't, do you go with their colors because it's such a part of the characters of the Power Rangers, the pink and the yellow and the blue and everything? Like, are they very protective of like, don't use that pink or like, or
Yes. We haven't had that conversation about them being very protective of colour. That's more just an instinct that I realise. I mean, if Sarah Voon, who does the costume design for Power Rangers, she's, she is going to put, she doesn't like to be cliche, so she doesn't put the characters exactly in there. Like you won't see the Pink Ranger all in pink, right, but she might have one pink accessory. So I am kind of aware to stay off those exact, and they are sort of quite primary tones. So I kind of look for those sort of secondary or tertiary tones. So often using sort of those sort of burnt oranges, those sort of yellowy oranges, all sorts of shades of paler blue, and greens, or but greens that are a different green to the Ranger green. All of those colours are all like secondary colours, and they all work quite nice. I sort of look for the colours that work really nicely together.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to complement the colour. So yeah, I have this thing, even though there's a lot of colour, I'm really fussy about colour as well.
Yeah.
There are right tones and there are wrong tones.
Yeah.
And so I'm really particular about that. And for me, in that set particular, we don't want to see any purple or pink. Sometimes what doesn't look great is when every colour is there. So even though there's a lot of colour, it's still actually quite a controlled palette. So if it's going to be all in the oranges and blues, then they're a certain type, they're a warm tone, then I don't want to then see a horrible grey blue come into it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So even though it is very colourful, it is quite carefully considered.
Yeah.
All of it's carefully considered, and I sort of work right across the board of the production with that, and all of the props and all the dressing elements, they all fit into that. So I spend a lot of time on mood boards and colour palettes, and I always choose all the paint and everything.
Well, yeah. So, are you designing the props also?
Yes. Yeah. But sometimes with Dino Fury, the hero weapons have already been created because they've been created in Japan. But it's any new prop that comes into it, of which there are loads. There are loads of props. So yeah, we design everything. We design everything. And pretty much.
I'm going to call it like their command center in Once and Always. With the space images on the walls, and you have have integrated the lighting so nicely to make this like more. I don't know if I feel like I'm on a spaceship, but I feel like I'm in a space. I actually can't even connect to where that space is right now. Like, I don't know how'd they get there. I don't even know.
Thanks to technologies.
Now I forget how they even got there. I don't know. But because I was so focused on your lighting and the screens that you had all throughout, which were so nicely like inlaid in this like command center. Because I just got off a space show, so now I'm totally into like looking at all these things of like how did they do their screens and how did they do their lighting and everything. So bravo on that, because the lighting integration I thought was really nice.
Oh, thank you. That was something I was very, very conscious of for that set, because with Once and Always, I guess I was looking quite a bit back at the original MMPR, and so I sort of looked at that sort of circular shape that they had in that original set, and I really wanted to still keep that shape, but I really needed to ground the set and make it, much more contemporary for a contemporary audience.
Right.
For me, over the years of the last couple of seasons of Power Rangers, I've really become so excited about integrating all the lighting, or as much lighting as possible. The production really likes it because, one, it looks fantastic. That's really the main thing.
Yeah.
The DOP likes it because we're collaborating in the pre-production process, and also it means they can come in on the morning, start shooting, turn the lights on, and we can, start shooting.
Dim it, do whatever. They're ready.
Yeah, so, and also just the impact and just the sort of graphic definition that it creates within the set. It can give it a really high-tech sci-fi look.
Yeah.
So the set actually was quite simple in the sense that it was a circle of tall flats, if you like.
Yeah.
And I just had this strip that was, right sort of at eye level all the way around, or, at a good camera angle for when the characters were standing in the inner circle. We designed the graphics. Those are actually light boxes, but I wanted them to be completely flush with the surface.
Oh,
excuse me, dry through in the morning.
Yeah.
So we wanted, so I wanted us to feel like we were in a room that was looking out to space. So that's why we sort of I created those sort of windows. I worked with a graphic designer. It's going to have a drink of water.
Oh, yeah. And then I think the other part of it for me is what the kids love is all of the fighting scenes and the stunts and everything. And are you designing for the stunts, or is it designed and then you work with, and then they come in and go around the set?
The sets were designed even before there were scripts, really. They were working on scripts as I was designing, so it is quite collaborative. There wasn't actually a big plan to have a big fight scene in this particular set. I kind of do know which of the sets that we're going to have big fight sequences in. Saying that, I never knew we were going to have a fight scene in the juice bar.
In the juice bar, right? Yeah.
I never knew we were having that.
Yeah.
Because I did cheat that scale of the set smaller, but I still kind of tried to get the essence of the original production in terms of its colour palettes and its design shapes, forms, the general sculptural shape. And then suddenly, one of those, because we have 2 units shooting full time, and the action unit, the director decided he wanted to do a big fight scene in there. I was like, whoop. Uh-oh. But, he made it work.
Oh, yeah.
And, in a way it kind of worked because there were mats on the floor and there were poles. There were things they could grab onto. I mean, the furniture, it was strong enough, so that was fine,
Oh, yeah.
But there wasn't really any big planned sequences in the command. But saying that, I have to remain really kind of flexible and adaptable all the time, because we shoot very quickly. We usually only have about 9 days. We will shoot a whole bunch of episodes in a series, and in this case we only had 9 days to shoot this particular feature. So anything can happen at the last minute, like we'll do a tech recce, and we'll do, the directors only come on 2 weeks before we start shooting. So
what do you mean you had
it's all quite fast.
Wait, what do you mean you had
Very
9 days?
fast.
You had 9 days prep for this? You had 9 days?
Oh, no, 9 days shooting.
Oh, 9 days shooting.
But the 9 days shooting. No. We started prepping that. Well, we're working on Cosmic Fury at the same time, which is the next series that's coming out in later, October or September.
Boy.
So we were working on this at the same time. I think we started building in end of May, and then we shot this in September. So it was closer to
so you had
12 to 14 weeks prep, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say.
But production together.
Because
there are 11 big sets to build.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You have these sets to build, and then you're on location, too. I mean, the location scouting, I feel like, is really nice on the show, too. This gorgeous scenery, some of these, seascape, mountains, and,
yes, I know, it was beautiful. That was just shot down in South Auckland. Wonderful location. I didn't actually go on the recce for that, because I had seen all the photos, because what happens is we sit around and we have, location meetings, and we've got a big screen, and we all sort of talk about what locations we want to use, why we want to use them. And I knew that whatever they shot there would be fantastic. So usually I just send my art director along to that, because often it's just about, measuring the width of the road and how are we going to get the trucks in. But as it was, we had some quite big props we had to get in there. So it was more about logistics. My time when we're in the build it's definitely better not leaving the studio,
Yeah.
because we've got a lot of builders building. We've got the set dressers dressing, we've got prop making, we've got, we had vehicle we were building. So I kind of need to be there for that in the build. Yeah, so that's kind of how it works a bit, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, don't waste your time. you're
Well, a lot of walking around. And,
it's a lot of walking around and a lot of scout van time. And
yeah. And then they say, well, we're going to shoot this, we're going to shoot that. And then, you go along later and on shoot day one, have a look. Oh, none of that's been shot.
So, yeah.
It's all changed. Yeah.
So in these films and series, you have the same directors? Are you working with different directors, same showrunner?
So Simon Bennett, who's the showrunner for Once and Always and for Dino Fury and for the up-and-coming Cosmic Fury, was a director on Ninja Steel.
Oh, wow.
And Beast Morphers. But we have about 3 or 4 other directors that rotate across the series. Charlie Haskell, he's one of our main ones. Michael Hurst we had this year and last year. So, different directors rotate.
That's great to have the rapport with the directors and know, like...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I had had worked with them even before I came to Power Rangers. So, it's interesting because we even talk about, because I'm on before directors, and so we talk about what directors we want on as well. Not that I'm sure I influence that at all, but, they like to know everybody gets on. On. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that there's a visual language that we all have with each other. So I think that's just growing as the seasons have gone on. It's just gotten stronger.
When you first came on to Power Rangers, did you have to watch a ton of research? Did you have to watch? I mean, there's a plethora, though. At least it's not like hard to find. It's,
Oh, yeah, true. I did watch a couple of seasons, but I felt like I knew it because I had done that one season. So what she had done too, I'd done Dino Thunder and Ninja Storm. So I'd done the costume props. So I was the costume props supervisor, and so that's building all those kind of costume accessories.
Mm-hmm.
I had a real kind of inner working of the stunt action. That was kind of a strength of mine. And so I kind of knew how it all worked. So when I came on, I kind of knew how it worked. So I had an advantage. I had an advantage when I came on, 10 years later as production designer.
Isn't that crazy that it came back round to you?
Yeah, but I couldn't believe I never thought when I was working there earlier as a costume prop supervisor that I'd come back one day as a production designer.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But of course, in that meantime, I'd done lots of production designs, so
I know.
I suppose it was.
You have a fantastic website, and
thank you.
And in looking at your other work, and I feel like you have such a different palette, obviously on other shows, but like the costumes and the design of everything is so beautiful. And
thank you.
Like especially like I was looking through. I hadn't seen When We Go to War.
Oh yes.
Oh my gosh, that looks amazing. That's like a huge project you had, and that
was a huge project.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it was. And actually, that was really beautiful to do. Because I was actually just doing costume design for that one and not production design. But there were hundreds and hundreds of costumes, and of course it was set in World War One, so there was also huge amounts of military costume to create, and we had really, quite remote. I say remote; they were all quite close to Auckland locations, and tricky landscapes we were shooting in. But yeah, and there were a lot of characters, and they had a lot of clothes.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that, and doing all of that corsetry and I'm obsessed with fabric. I love fabric. And on a production like that, I'll just hit, I have a buyer actually, but who will run out and just get every single fabric sample there are. And I just start arranging all those fabrics and, those ones are going to probably be for this character.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got to work that way a bit. And then at the same time, I do lots and lots of drawing because I love drawing as well.
Mm.
And and then it just starts evolving, I always try to dig deep inside get right into the character and imagine all of the actions that the characters might do. And I do that a lot with production design as well.
Yeah.
I really kind of like to think about what kind of props they will have or how they move, which, I think about all their entrances and exits and where they're going to sit, which chair's theirs. And so the same process happens with costume as well.
Do you find it hard not doing costumes on Power Rangers?
I don't, because it's so huge. It's so huge. But yeah, I have my moments for sure.
Yeah.
I have my moments where I think, I might do that. I might do this. But actually, Sarah, Voon and I have a really good rapport, and we've now been doing this together for 5 seasons. So, so we're sort of in the same, she's fantastic, and so we get on really well. So I'm okay with it. But yeah, I do have a little moment. I do, and I did too when I was doing costumes for When We Go to War. I was thinking, I'm not sure about that green. Yeah, but what can you do?
Because
but I'll definitely say something if I think something's not right. And I like to work really closely with lighting.
Yeah.
And all of those tones and all of those lighting tones that are going on to people and onto sets. And back in the day, which was only a few years ago, we were using more gels.
Yeah.
But choosing gels but just selecting, working closely with them on LED tones as well, which we're using a lot more LED now, but still really involved with that. So try to get it. I'm involved with everything, really. Oh my God, sound like a control freak.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because on your site for Dino Fury, you have the character design of Solon, and that, the boys loved that guy. So I was like, when I saw it on your thing, I was like, oh wow. Were you intricate in the design of that character, the costume and the costume on the costume? And
I love I do love designing those quite interesting characters. I guess that sort of has come from theatre as well, where I did some pretty opulent character designs. I'm probably better at that kind of character design than sort of fashion styling. I'm much more design from scratch, concept, like building a character, working out all of their personality attributes in conversation with the director or producer, and then kind of designing from the ground up and then building it, because I guess I have quite a big building experience as well. I loved Solon. Solon is probably one of my favourite.
I love the feathers. I love the feathers in the back. Those are fantastic.
Yes. I know. And I loved, because it was a she. Solon was a she, and she was wise, and she'd been in this big battle 60 million years ago. Yeah. But she had rebuilt some of her armor, and so there's always this massive backstory, and that part of that massive backstory, that just comes from me.
Well, it has to, but we do it all the time. we all have to do it all the time, because
we do.
You have to. This guy likes cats. I don't know, you have to make it up.
Right. And that's how you can actually just sort of get a fantastic design, is by Because I guess those characters need to be designed earlier. Often I design them because I also did some for Once and Always. We did the Mighty Minotaur and Snizzard, and also the mask for Robo Reader, but those things often need to be designed earlier. So I did do them actually before we start doing the sets, so that we could get them made in Japan. There's a company in Japan, Toei, and they're very good at making these characters. So we kind of got those. We get them pre-made because they're very stunt special,
Yeah, that's very intricate. Roto Rita is very intricate with the staff and the like Queen Elizabeth, the crown, like.
Yes. Yeah. So, I actually only did the mask and her prop. Sarah Boone did her actual costume because that was fabric, and she's, their costume department is all set up with all the fabrics. There's no point us trying to tackle that in the art department.
Well, no.
Yeah.
Don't do more than you have to.
No, exactly. No, exactly. So yeah, but love doing that as well. I mean, I suppose it's the same approach. It's the same approach, really, whether it's a character or a set for me, in a way. It's a different space, I know. It's a different scale. But I still start in the same place in terms of thinking about who the character is. And then the set is a character to me as well.
What do you think? Was there any, like, huge challenges in this, like, budget-wise? Or was it, like, this is pretty, this was well made? Like, they knew what they were getting into. It was budgeted accordingly. Like, because it's always time or money. Like, and you never even...
It is all time and money, I think, because it was quite fast. I mean, I'm definitely always try to be aware of the budget. I don't know all the intricacies of the budget because I don't have time to. But we do start out with a plan.
Yeah.
And we try to work to that, and I try to consciously, if something feels like it's... The thing that always seems to happen is we always seem to need to bring on more construction workers for a massive push, and work 6 days and all of this kind of thing towards the end. So there always seems to be that. But it's sort of balanced out with other things because our construction team also take on the work of other, they're building walking platforms for the lighting department,
right.
So sometimes it all gets a little bit mixed up. And so it feels like, oh no, suddenly the 20 construction workers we had planned on have suddenly turned into 50. And the 4 scenics we thought we'd have is now 10.
Right.
But all of that is thought of because we keep a contingency. And I think the producers know how this show rolls.
Yeah.
And our line producer is very good at sort of knowing. And we just keep talking about it every week.
Yeah, I always find that that's the best thing. You have to let them know, like, we're backed up here, or hey, we're ahead of schedule, or I have found that as long as you keep in communication with the line producer and be honest, you just.
So what we do is we just meet up weekly. I've actually got a fantastic art manager that she kind of manages our art department in terms of all the finances. She actually is a production manager normally on other big jobs.
Oh, wow.
But how fantastic we have her in the art department.
Yeah.
And she is just like that with the line producer as well. So she's just able to record everything. And so they're just tracking. So it's more of a tracking than an actual, we're going to spend 50,000 here and 50,000 there. It's more of there's an overall amount. Oh, we're not actually spending as much on greens as we thought, or there isn't that many vehicles. There's only the one vehicle in this. So we're just moving things around all the time to keep tracking on where we can.
Did you have a favorite set on this one?
Well, actually I did love that. I did love the command.
Yeah.
But I think my other favorite one was actually the moon base. Which is the evil lair of Robo Rita
Yeah.
and her cronies. But I loved that one because I had looked at the original MNPR set. It was really just quite flat and plain pillars and things like that. But I loved that I sort of took some of those elements and I made a really kind of monumental set with that. And I just loved that the moon texture that we put on that set. So
Yeah.
that is a favourite because I thought it was a nice combination of all her astrological symbols and her, that kind of iconography of her character. We integrated that nicely into the set, and once again we integrated the lighting into the set.
Yeah.
But it's quite a dark and moody space.
Yeah, I like it. Was good for the ending. I mean, it was a good ending in there. Yeah. And they used the whole set. I mean, they were fighting all around it. Yeah. So
it was actually quite a small set. I didn't have a lot of room.
Oh.
But I had to build to the studio sizes a bit, and actually that wasn't even in a studio. It was in a big tin shed on the side of the workshop.
Oh my god!
Because we didn't have enough space with the two shows. So, and initially we weren't sure if we were going to build that one. So I loved that one as well. But yeah, I would say the one you picked out first, The Command, was my favourite.
Yeah,
I felt like I got a great visual effect look from it all, and the light that was hanging above in that set.
Oh, like
was a particular favourite. That was all little tiny pieces, which we had. Yeah, we designed it as a whole lot of little 3D pieces that we got cut in acrylic, and also timber, which we sprayed metallic, but most of it was all acrylic cuts, obviously repeated because it's a circle, and then it just literally all clipped together on a big round metal scaff pipe, and so it all came together really quick. And then the lighting department just came along, and then they'd lay all their LED strips in the top of the pipe, or below the pipe, sorry, so that was balanced, reflecting down onto the acrylic. I just thought that was a clever piece that we did quite quickly, and then it was just all laser cut, and then the workshop were just able to assemble it really quite quickly.
That's great.
And I thought it was effective on screen.
Oh yeah,
so.
It looked like an amulet or something, like something powerful above them, or like a power source or something.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, there's a sort of underlying theme of the Power Rangers working together, saving the universe. There's this kind of feeling that I try to get into all of the design, particularly for that set.
Were the actors like just in awe of the reproductions of like the juice bar, and like did they love it?
They were actually. They were. We were like, oh, okay. There was one particular scene, I think, in the juice bar. Well, actually, the juice bar neon sign.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But I think there was a scene where they're sort of it's at the end of the show, and they're having smoothies. But we got the same kind of, well, I know it's plasticware, but, because it's a bit 90s.
It's
but
the same, yeah.
But we got that, and I remember the actors going, oh, my God, it's the same smoothie. But, just a lovely small detail like that was really nice.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it had to be, like, mind-blowing for them, too, just to be like, oh, my God, like, all these years later, and we're here. Yeah, they seemed
very excited, and they were very generous, and they were very into it, and, it was a great process. There was a bit of, we had a bit of COVID sort of, you have to wear a mask here, and for us around them. So it wasn't quite as, I wasn't actually chatting with them every day in the way that I might normally. I say normally pre-COVID.
Right.
So at the time, it was a lot of waving with masks on. But yeah, the actors were very into it and very generous. They were very energetic and really lively, and I think they had great process with Charlie, the director, and Simon, the producer. There was a lot of talking and, a real sort of depth to it.
Yeah.
On that level, which was really nice, I think.
Well, I think for someone who, like, my younger brothers were into it, they were all about it. So I wasn't into it, but I obviously had watched it because they watched it and then knew of it, and then, all of these years, and was thinking that of like, man, these people look pretty good for like 30 years later. Like they're still hopping around. They're pretty good.
They did. They looked good and they were fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, good for you.
But the life of an actor, you kind of, I guess.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
Yeah, it's not all about that, but it's partly about that.
So you have the next Power Rangers you're working on now, or did you finish that?
We finished that as well. It's actually still in post.
Oh.
So I think they're halfway through the, that sort of visual effects and post sound process. So that will come out later in the year. I mean, I can't talk about that really, but
no. I'm
very happy with the designs of it.
Oh, good. Well, I'll be watching it now because now I got 2 fans up there. Are you working now?
I'm not actually at the moment.
Nobody's working over here either with the writer's strike.
No.
So.
It's a bit funny. It's sort of gone a bit quiet. Which I was okay about for a month or two. Now I'm like, oh, it's 3 months. I'm a bit like, okay. But that's all right. I'll just do some painting until something turns up. But
yeah,
I think there's a bit of review going on of our sort of incentives to get things back down here. I mean, we never do Power Rangers every year. We usually do it every second year anyway. So just because of post-production, so it has always been a sort of year on, year off. So it's not like I've just done it completely since 2014. So I've always done other projects in between. But it's very quiet. Not many people working here at the moment.
I wonder if the writer's strike will force things to go, to other countries. So you might get busy.
That might help New Zealand. Yeah.
You might get busy quick.
Yeah. It depends on the type of productions, of course. But that's right. That might help.
Yeah. That might happen. Are you watching anything that you find inspiring right now?
Oh, I watch everything.
Oh, me too.
Well, what was I watching last night? Because I watch everything, and so my memory, it's terrible. I was like, what did I watch last week? Obviously, I'm watching all the normal popular things like Succession and everything. But I'm watching Silo.
Silo
on Apple TV.
On Apple. Oh, I saw the preview for that. Is that good? It's good.
Yeah. I mean, I quite like sci-fi sets and...
Yeah.
Oh, I feel really bad. I don't even know who's designed it now.
Oh, I know. I always have to look it up.
But anyway, it's fantastically designed. That's all I can say. I did actually look. I always look up who designs everything, but I have a terrible thing with names unless I write them down.
Have you seen Bad Sisters on Apple?
I love it. It's on Apple. Yes, on Apple TV. So it's called Silo. It's just dropping an episode a week. A week at the moment. I've watched about 3 or 4, 5. Yeah, so I love. So I got really excited about that last night. What else have I been watching? Oh, I watch kind of fun and fruity things like Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah.
I like that kind of show.
I love that.
But then at the other end, I like really quite sci-fi, sci-fi shows. So what else am I watching? I'm watching The Great.
The Great, yeah. I watched that. I watched the sci-fi show The Ark. It's on, I think.
Oh,
Peacock.
Yes.
Yes. I watched all of that.
I have.
Yeah.
And we can't see that here. Damn it.
Oh.
It's not on any of the streamers yet. It's only on, I guess, Sci-Fi Channel. We don't have that here.
It's on Sci-Fi and then Peacock. Do you get Peacock? No. It's like NBC. It's like streaming NBC.
I could track it down. I could probably track it down somehow online. But trouble is, there's so much to watch, isn't there?
I know. And it's all good. Everyone, we're all working so hard. It's all good.
I mean, I watched the trailer of The Ark, and I thought it looked fantastic.
Yeah. It does. It's a good.
I know. I've got my eye on watching that one. You're right. Spaceship. I'm glad you reminded me of that. I was only thinking about that one about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Thinking how amazing that one was.
I just binged Bad Sisters on Apple.
Oh yes. Yes.
Good. So good.
Love that. Yeah, watched that, binged that. But I think I did that about a year ago, that one.
Yeah, I was late.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hello Tomorrow's quite fruity, isn't it?
Yes, I love that. Fun. I love the design of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know why, I've still got a couple of episodes to watch. I keep jumping around all over the place. I've got to see The Ark. I'm going to track that down.
Have you, if there was any movie or any TV show that you could design, what would you choose? Ever?
Oh, goodness. Well, I'm very excited that they're making Blade Runner in Ireland at the moment. Well, they've heard that the production's just halted. I mean, the idea of something like Blade Runner would be amazing. I really loved Picard. So I just watching that. I thought that was fantastically designed and fantastic story. I love Star Trek Discovery as well. Mm-hmm. It would be an absolute dream of mine to do a show like that. Yeah. And I guess I do look at those shows a lot, and I really aim for trying to get somewhere near that in the designs that I do in my own smaller budget shows, but I still try to get the epicness of the...
But I would have to say, because I feel like you had such a poignant, I feel like everything is referenced kind of back to like Star Wars and those kind of like the lighting and everything. But you had in the design when they're in like their spaceship, their command, like that lighting and being like more slanted and like on them, like I would assume it helped light them and everything. I thought that was fantastic. It's
designed to light them. Yeah, it's designed to light them.
Yeah,
I'm all about the angles. But that's having really good conversations with the DOP right before we sort of start designing. But I guess I kind of already know these things a bit. But then I'll always get him in, for a day when I've kind of got some of the designs all kind of, I sort of know what I'm thinking of doing. I'll get him in for a day because he's maybe on another job or something because, they don't start till later.
Yeah.
Get him in and we'll just have a day where we just nut out all of the elements because I just want to make sure that I'm getting the most potential out of all of those different set elements that I can. And, we sometimes can't do everything that we want to do.
Yeah.
I certainly push hard to do that. And working closely and then he's on board and then he throws his team at it and my team are at it. We sort of got a much better chance of, because we don't have a lot of time and they don't have a very big prep, but we go hard out to try and achieve the biggest and best look we can get.
But it's the 5 of them sitting like in their like spaceship. It's
yes, that one.
That one.
Oh, the Dynamo Megazord. Oh yes.
Because what I was thinking is, you have very good carpenters to be able to make all that so intricate and everyone fits in there Because it seems like it's a small space, and it's a spaceship, it should be, but there's a lot going on with buttons and everything, and it's a very different kind of workstation that you have, like different like angles and everything. That's what I really liked about it.
Yes, that set was actually fantastic, and it was really dynamic with all, like you say, all the angles and everything. So that was built as a 3D model first. So we design it all in the 3D model. We get it kind of how we're looking, how we like it. We do floor plans, elevations, just quite rough ones, just seeing that everything works. Then I have a design assistant who's just making cutting files. So all of those pieces that are all of those interesting shapes, they're all pre-cut. We get them all CNC cut.
Oh, CNC.
Or we get them all laser cut.
Yeah.
And so it's quite, but then we have to, of course, do really elaborate diagram files for the construction department.
Yeah.
We colour them. It's another opportunity for colour that you don't see. The workshop are like, why is this one pink? Why is this one orange? It's like orange first, then pink. So we sort of do this diagram for how all of those, it's like a big jigsaw puzzle for how it all goes together.
Yeah, it's a lot of pieces.
Imagine when all the pieces come back from the CNC cutters, and it's just like, where do we start? I know they've got the picture, they've got the pictures, they've got the concept sketches, they've got all the plans and elevations, but they also, so we do quite elaborate diagram folders of how everything goes together.
Yeah.
And then I work out all of the colours and I put that all on the diagram. So it's a complete package that just goes out to everybody to do.
I've seen piles of like CNC like pieces up, and you're like, oh my god, it's a gingerbread house. They got to put it all together.
Little knobs and tiny little strips that just get laid on. They're all plant-ons, they're all plant-on to the base structure. So we'd have the base structure drawings for that, that curved control console at the front of the set. The walls were just built, the basic walls, door. So those sort of things was fairly just built. But it was all of those little cutout shapes, little plantons that had the monitors in them.
Yeah. No, that.
And we have an order to how everything has to go together too. So all the monitors have to go in at a certain point before it's all closed up, and power has all got to be run through the set. And
yep.
Yeah. Quite elaborate, yeah.
It's a lot of departments getting their hands in there.
Yeah, it's busy. But, like I said, my art department manager's great. She's really good at scheduling all of that stuff. And, she'll just go over to lighting. How long do you need to do that? No, you've only got that.
Yeah, I like her. Send her over.
In the workshop, you've got that. No, then the set dressers are coming in and they're doing, their bits and pieces. They only did a small amount on that, actually. They stuck a few of the last, like some of the buttons and everything on. Rather than getting the workshop to do everything, it's better to move them off onto another set. And then the set dressers come in and they stick all the knobs on. Because, they take that time to kind of put everything right.
I know that now, having just done space. I never knew that I was in charge of buttons and how much LED buttons costs and everything, so I'm all in now. It's a lot.
You're going to be drilled in, and because I've got to sit flush. And
I know. We had like.
What were you working on?
For All Mankind. Season 4. It hasn't come out yet, but we had like 4 or 5 3D printers working to make like the knob covers, and just it was crazy. I was like, I never knew I would be doing, like, in charge. I don't even know what's going on. I don't even know who gave you that drawing to make that, but cool. Let's just make these buttons and get them on there.
It's quite good, though, isn't it? It's quite fun.
Yeah. The sci-fi and, like, the space stuff is, like, super fun when you get to do it.
It is.
It's a lot of pipe, too.
There's a lot of pipe. Yeah. There is a lot of pipe. Yeah, we even had pipes in that set too. We had pipes going back.
Yeah.
Having pipes going down like this and back like that. Sorry, me waving my arms around, but they do sort of help create that perspective and that angle and that, draw the eye in, it's that sort of old Renaissance concept of drawing the eye into where you want it to. So, we use a lot of pipes. We use a lot of PVC pipe.
Yeah. Yeah, by stock.
Our big pillars in the in Robo Rita's Moonbase set, they're a big cardboard.
Yeah.
Those are big cardboard ones, the ones that, you pour concrete into in a building site. So.
Well, yeah, because to get the plastic would be like a ton of money. So it's better just to get it and paint it. We have the capabilities.
Exactly. We had one massive custom build tube, and that was the tube that was at the back in the command. That was the old Zordon tube that had the crack in it.
Oh, yeah.
That was actually 1,200. Sorry, I don't know what's that in inches or feet.
I don't know.
So
8
just
feet?
trying to think what that is. It's about 4 feet.
I'm off.
Diameter. So we had that we did that as a custom build, but
Nice.
that everything else we were able to get
Oh, wow.
off the shelf as such.
We still have so much shipping problems here and getting things, and everything's still so delayed since COVID, I find. So we're always lucky to find like a dozen of something.
It is quite hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think we have had troubles like that too here in New Zealand.
Yeah.
I think it's really the kind of timber that we were using. I think timber's the big thing that's been hard here.
Yeah.
I think it's more for house building, because the kind of timber we use is quite that sort of cheap, easily fractured timber. Because of course our sets are temporary, so we're kind of just using MDF and that kind of sort of skinned, timber that we skin on cheap pine frames, So we're not really using any fancy timbers. We do a lot of plastering, obviously, and everything's, how we obviously get the look, as most people probably do, is in the scenic finishes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, we make it as cheap as possible.
You're only as good as your scenic painters, really.
Oh, true. It's true.
They'll
they can really bring it to life, can't they?
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you. I also want to tell you, I tried to explain to my boys where you were on our globe.
Oh, yes.
And then I was like, she's living in tomorrow. She already lived today. She's living in tomorrow. And they were like, Mom, what's the snack for? Like, they couldn't get it. So
they'll get it one day.
Yeah. Thank you for giving me this time. And really, I really am jealous because your designs are really influencing young designers, young decorators, and so thank you for that. I'm telling you, it's there. So thank you so much for that. Because
thank you. It's been fun, actually.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. I try to make it like a real conversation. It's so much fun speaking with production designer Tracey Collins. And I like I said, my boys love doing the research with me. They got really into Power Rangers, which I had not introduced yet. And I guess I was talking to my brothers who were younger than me about it, and they were like, oh yeah, the original guy's in it, and they even checked it out. So yeah, it was good. It was fun. It was fun little research. I feel bad because I talked to her in like May. I think early May I talked to her. And then, we had all the Emmy interviews, so I haven't been able to put this out till now, but she was an absolute doll to talk with, and I just loved hearing her process and how involved she was in the costume design, and then, just pulling it all together and then coming back to the series after years and working on it. Yeah, I thought that was super interesting. So you never know. It's like I was saying before. You never know where you're going to end up. She didn't know she was going to come back to it. So, yeah. I don't know. In the coming weeks, let's see what I have. I have production designer Caleb McMullen and Brandon Mendez talking about Flaming Hot, which is on Disney Plus. And then I think I'm finally going to put out the episode I did on budgeting, which I did, and then I gotta update it, but we just had so many good ones. And Emmy nominations come out tomorrow, so we'll probably get a lot of those people to talk to too, I hope. Fingers crossed to everyone. Good luck to everyone. Everyone deserves it. Let's put it that way. So I hope you got an earful. I'm Kim Wanup for Decorating Pages.